Peace, family. Welcome to the Campaign TV show. I'm your host, Brother King Cam. Y'all know we're going to get this thing started all right with our intro, but I just want to start off a little different tonight, family. But here we go.
Any leadership that teaches you to depend upon another race is a leadership that will enslave you. Any leadership that teaches you to depend upon another race is a leadership that will enslave you. If leadership that our foreparents and that leadership made them slaves, but we have decided to find a leadership of our own.
Not your average nigga, I'm a guy out the hood. They can't downplay me. I came up, I'm elevated. I ain't gotta say too much for them to know I'm coming for what's mine. You know they see me in my presence, say they see how I'm coming. Young, but you not just gonna finesse me like you did my peoples. Then back when you said they was emancipated. This ain't that. Your head too big, you feeling yourself. The game wasn't fair, you had the advantage, we wasn't educated. I don't look at you people the same. Nah. Your worst nightmare, my skin tone about them chains. Yeah. Not no circus lion, son, I can't be tamed. You gon' have to kill me, pussy, Toby ain't my name. Y'all still want us think our history started when we were slaves? What? Come on now, talk about them pyramids we made. I was chosen by that man, you know y'all just been running game. The nerve of you acting like I ain't.
Yes, sir. Welcome, family. Welcome to the Campaign TV show. As I mentioned earlier, I am your host, Brother King Cam, and I have a special show set up tonight, man, for the family. So first and foremost, I want to get everybody to make sure that you hit the comment section. Let us know what city and state that you're checking in from. The YouTube family, what I need you to do is I need you to like and I need you to subscribe. I need you to hit that bell so you can stay notified each and every time that we drop a video, family. We want to just make sure that we sharing this out so we can get as many people to tune in as possible, because you know what we want to do is bring value to the game. We want to make sure that we bring in as much value to the space as possible. Now, a lot of people have been seeing me talk about tech, and I have recently got into tech, and it has been so life-changing, so transforming, that I felt like I needed to go and I needed to put as many people on as possible. And now that I'm in it and I'm transforming lives with the information and the education, I said we got to keep this going. So last week, I had the honor and distinction of interviewing Troy, who is the founder of Course Careers, a tech boot camp that I actually took and actually started my journey into tech. And tonight I have the brother whose content actually led me to Course Careers to actually take that boot camp that actually changed my life. So before we bring him in, family, again, I need everybody on YouTube to like, subscribe, hit the bell, stay notified every time that we drop a video. And also, what I need you to do is I need you to share the link out to as many people as possible. Share the link out to as many people as possible. Now, let me tell you a little bit about my guest before I bring him on, because I think this is very important. Obviously, man, he has been doing a great work in our community by sharing as much information and giving as much of his experience as possible in tech. As I mentioned before, he is the number one reason why I was able to find a tech boot camp to get into tech. The brother is currently a sales engineer. He is a podcast founder of Tech is the New Black. You understand me? He is, changing lives all over the world with a huge social media presence. He's a former Marine, so we salute him for his service in the community. He's an entrepreneur. He's a life transformer, family. He's a believer in God. I bring to the stage none other than the good brother, Cyrus. How you doing, my brother?
Man, bro, I think that's the greatest intro I have ever got. That intro is incredible. I'm doing, man, honored to be on your platform. Honored to be here speaking with your audience, sharing what I know. Very humbled by like just the accolades you gave. Yeah, super blessed to know that God used just me flapping my gums on social media, trying to put our people on. And seeing that you're a person that has like a really great platform, it's like, man, I just know like likewise, God is going to use you in the same way to help a lot of your audience, and then so on and so forth, as it passes on.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, man, again, thank you, brother, for just taking a little bit of time out of your day to come and be on the platform, because I know, you're a very busy brother. You got a lot of things that you build and a lot of things that you're working on. So, certainly appreciate you taking the time out to come and talk with us today. And really, what we want to do, man, is we want to just talk about your story. And as I mentioned before, I was actually thinking about getting into tech. I was actually looking at going back to college. And I was looking at different courses and things like that and say, hey, if I'm going to go back to college, then I want to do something that, is going to be able to pay off. So I'm looking at IT and I'm talking to my sister about it. And she's like, hey, did you ever think about tech sales? I was like, no, I never heard about tech sales. So then maybe an hour or two passed. I'm still doing some research online. And then she shoot me over several different links. And one of the links that she shoot me over is to your Instagram. So then I go to your Instagram page and I'm looking at the Instagram page and I'm like, okay, you know what I'm saying? I like this brother. He got, you know what I'm saying? Like he doing this thing. He talking about tech, and then I'm learning now. So then I catch one of your lives, right? I'm catching one of your lives that you're doing, where you're doing a lot of the Q&A and answering questions that people have about tech. So I'm on there and I'm listening to the lives and everything like that, and I'm getting so much information. I'm like, whoa. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really need to go ahead and jump on this. So, and that's how I was introduced to the tech boot camp. So that was my introduction to Brother Cyrus. But Cyrus, could you
Shouts
just
out to the sister.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely. So, just tell us a little bit about your background and how you discovered tech.
Yeah, definitely. So my background was very previous to tech, was very heavy in a lot of event stuff. I did a lot of things in the faith-based space, a lot of relationship events, stuff like that. At the end of the day, just really trying to help people get closer to God, helping people get closer to like more quality relationships. And but along the way of helping people, it was like, man, my finances are not where they need to be at.
Right.
And I found myself, despite my platform and having a lot of followers and helping a lot of people, I was like, man, like I'm not doing good financially. I'm not set up well enough to like truly take care of my family in a significant way, financially and with certain resources. And so I had to scale back. And I was like, all right, I need to be smart. I need to be a grown man about what I'm doing. And kind of similar to your story, I was like, okay, well, what industries? I literally Googled. I was like, okay, what industries? What industries can you make a lot of money? Um, aren't like some fly by night, some quick flash in the pan type of thing where it's like it's here
Right.
today, gone tomorrow, but it's something that has longevity, and also it can give me a skill set and an actual career,
Mm.
not just a job, but it can give me a career that even if I'm at a company and the company tanks or no matter what happens, I have a career that's in high demand.
Right.
And the list of careers that constantly came up were all in the tech space or the software industry space, including things like tech sales or sales engineering, like what I am, product management, and the list goes on and on. And once I saw that, I then did the next best thing. I was like, okay, well, I took a top 20 list of the top 20 that paid the most. And then I kind of like looked at what each of the descriptions were for all of the roles. And then after looking at those descriptions, I dwindled it down to like the top five. I was okay, these are the top five that pay the most and also is a role that I could at least see myself doing. Not necessarily that I'll love it or I'll be passionate about it,
Right.
but it's like it's something that I could really see myself doing. And then from there, I then dwindled it down further. Okay, what do I need to do to get into these jobs? So just whole process of elimination, like bringing it down. And then
Gotcha.
that's when I heard about boot camps before, but that's when I really saw like, okay, there are different boot camps out here. I found a boot camp that at the time was the only boot camp that taught sales engineering. I saw some good information. I saw bad information. I saw people
Mm-hmm.
saying, "Oh, this stuff is legit." I saw people saying, "Oh, it's fake. You can't trust it." But I was at a place where I was like, you know what, like worst case scenario, I pay for this, it doesn't pan out, but guess what? I'm broke anyway, so I'll just still be broke. I was like, so I can go ahead and do this. So I went ahead and did it. I was like, man, this is actually really great. Definitely had to put a lot of work in, both in the program as well as after the program, doing my due diligence. And yeah, 8 weeks after I finished the program, I started at my first tech company as a sales engineer. They started me at $90,000, and since then it has gone up, up, up. Somewhere after a few months, I decided I wanted to start helping other people. But I'll kind of pause there because I think that little snapshot answers your question.
Okay, yes, sir. Yes, sir. And yeah, bro, and it's funny that you mentioned that because it's just amazing how aligned our stories are, right? Because I've been in that same exact space, like literally exact space, events, hosting parties, party promotion, event promotion, things like that. Then segueing over to more of community development and community outreach and things like that, helping the people and all of that good stuff. But as you mentioned, those different things not translating over to a financial increase. Not to mention the fact that I had been demonetized on social media, so that didn't help at all neither. So with that happening, it was like, okay, we got to figure out another situation. So and being in entrepreneurship for such a long time, since I want to say since 2012, the first company that I started was a power washing business. So because of my issues that I had back then, I wasn't able to get a job, so I had to go into entrepreneurship and things like that. And first thing I started was a power washing business, and just going through entrepreneurship and business and understanding about sales and understanding just the different processes, right, that go along with building, being in sales and building a brand and all of those different things. It was like, okay, what can I also extract from the tech industry? And once I got in, I'm learning all of these things, like they all kind of are interconnected. So, that is beautiful. And you talk a lot about that on your podcast, but we'll get to that a little bit later. So now you are, you take the boot camp. So how you literally just like Googled the tech boot camps and they came up, or did somebody say, check this one out, and you kind of went down a rabbit hole from there?
No, so what it was that like really put a fire under me. So I did that research, but what it was to put a fire under me was I met a couple people that also were in tech, and young black men younger than me, and just the amount of money they had, the amount of resources they had, what they were able to pour that money into their businesses, pour their money into like their community, their ministry, all the stuff they're doing. I was like, yo, that's like really crazy. But when it comes to the the boot camp that I did, yeah, I literally just Googled. It was a real shot in the dark. It was like I didn't know anyone who had done it at the time. I did now know people, but I didn't know anyone who did it. Uh, and it was just I came down to that specific role that I wanted to do, and that was the only boot camp that taught it. So it's always interesting to me whenever sometimes, and I'm sure you've either ran into this or you're gonna run into this at some point. There'll be some people that will be like extremely hesitant or like, man, I just don't know. It just seems really shaky to me. And one of the things I always say to people is like, yeah, it was shaky to me too. And I didn't have a person online like telling me
Nah,
like
for real.
so it's like if anybody understands, like I understand. But yeah, it was as cut and dry as that. I looked it up, did all that research, and I just was like, I mean, what do I really have to lose? Was my
Right.
mentality.
No, really, and that was the same way I looked at it as well. I was already in a bad situation, so it was like, again, what do I have to actually lose? So really, yeah. So I was able to go through your content, and that was the biggest thing, seeing young black men, breaking into tech and making money and being able to impact the lives of other people, being able to take that money, those resources, and pour them into other things, right? So seeing your content, then I get to the tech boot camps, right? As I mentioned earlier, I had Troy on last week where he was talking about his journey with Course Careers, and I come across Course Careers and I come across the other one. Now you got some stuff going on. I saw a video, so I'm not gonna drop the name. I'm not gonna say the name. I don't know how all of that's going out, but the other one, is what I'm talking about. And
Yeah. They gotta clean some stuff up. I'm just looking out for our people and letting them clean
okay.
their stuff back up. that way it's a good route for our people to go to.
Absolutely. And see, that's the beautiful thing. Family, we have to be real, authentic, and sincere, especially when we out on these public platforms, educating the people, encouraging and motivating people in whichever direction, especially, if a positive direction. We want to make sure that we are thorough with the things that we're doing. So shout out to Brother Cyrus for that. But I actually just had a friend of mine that actually just finished the program through them. So he got through and he is actually starting to interview now. Like he graduates, I think, this week. And he was actually supposed to be hosting with me tonight. And I was still trying to see if he was gonna come on because he wanted to join the conversation as well. So he may come on in a little bit. But so anyway, so I get into that. And I look into that one at first, and I'm not able to afford that one. I don't think they had the payment plan at the time. So I said, I'm not going to be able to rock with them. But then I went and saw Course Careers. I said, okay, this is my speed now. I said, this is my speed. I can do Course Careers, right?
It's a good price point.
Yeah, it's a good price point. We can make it shake now. I can get, pull some resources together. So I said, okay, we can do this. Yeah. And then let me go ahead and get my foot in the door. So I went ahead and got my foot in the door with tech sales as an SDR. So talk a little bit about, this whole, the certifications that I need to get into tech. Do I have to have a whole lot of certs to be in sales? Talk about your experience with that and let the people know what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so it's a lot of similarities between tech sales and sales engineering. Specifically, most of the similarities fall in line with what it takes to like break in or to get a job within these roles, whether we're talking tech sales or sales engineering. And so, right now they don't teach it in college. They're probably never going to be able to teach it in college because, and that's one of the reasons why these boot camps exist. And even colleges and universities are starting to create tech boot camps, like their own tech boot camps to try to keep up with this. And so these roles are relatively new to the industry, and these roles are evolving faster than colleges are able to like pick them up and start to be able to do them. So you can't get a degree for tech sales. You can't get a degree for sales engineering. There are a couple routes to go. The best route currently so far is a tech boot camp. And so the boot camp, some boot camps give you certifications, some don't, but the certifications to tech recruiters, it's like pass or fail. It's like some tech recruiters don't care if you have a certification. What matters to them at the end of the day is, okay, you have some evidence that you have studied something, you've been tested, you have had either you've done some type of course, some type of work that you've put in that is similar to college in terms of education wise, that'll let us know, hey, you are a viable candidate, a great candidate for us to talk to and potentially bring on in this role. Usually what'll even happen is that the recruiters, they'll just ask questions like, hey, tell me about that course that you did or this program that you did. Tell me about some of the things that they taught you and some of the things that you learned. And so again, because you can't go to college for it, 9 times out of 10, doing one of these boot camps, it puts you far ahead of the vast majority of any other candidate or someone that's out there, especially if it's a candidate that hasn't worked in these roles yet. And most people haven't worked in these roles if it's like a entry level position. So the boot camps in and of themselves, whether it's a boot camp that does a specific certification or not, but the boot camps are great. And usually, depending on the boot camp someone does, they might suggest a couple other additional educational pieces you can get after the boot camp. It won't be like another boot camp or another course, but more so something you can like quickly study up on just as that's complementary to what the boot camp is already giving you. But for the most part, the boot camp covers generally everything that you need. One, to be like a good foundational knowledge, as well as two, to kind of be able to get you in at your first tech company. And once you get in at your first tech company, if you just do your job, you do some basic networking, it's like you see extreme jumps in this industry. It's not like most other, I believe what is the percentage? I think the average annual raise for most other industries is somewhere around 2%, whereas inflation goes up about 4%. So even if you're whatever job you're at, you're getting broker and broker every single year because inflation is outpacing your raises. Whereas in the tech industry, it's actually industry standard that, like, just if you stay at your company, you're gonna see raises anywhere between, on the low end, $15,000 a year, up to $25,000 a year, raises. And that's standard across the industry. But if you're a person where maybe you want to work at another company, you want to transition, you also can transition, or they call it like job hopping, which is not as frowned upon in tech as it is in other industries. It's actually relatively the norm in tech. But when you do job hopping, let's say you're changing companies, maybe anywhere between 9 months to 2 years, your income actually jumps anywhere between $25,000 to $40,000. The first time I job hopped, my income actually jumped. I think it was $67,000. I went from $90,000, $157,000, $145,000, but they gave me a $12,000 sign-on bonus. So it was $157,000 at the end of the day. And that was like my first, and I was only in tech for 6 or 7 months at the time. And I didn't reach out to that company. They came to me. That's a whole nother conversation about how when you're in this industry, you're doing a pretty good job. You're networking a little bit. Companies will, it's completely different from most other industries. Companies will hit you up, blow you up. I don't even check my LinkedIn inbox because so many companies are constantly just trying to offer me more money. But right now, I make enough money with my job. Now I just have tunnel vision with the podcast and everything else and trying to help other people.
Right. Hold on, family. Hold on. We gotta give Cyrus in the $12,000 sign-on bonus and the $67,000 raise a hand clap, family, because that is literally unheard of for people that's actually working, working in an industry and working what would be quote unquote a 9 to 5. But these tech jobs are set up so beautifully that I wouldn't even call it a 9 to 5. It's almost like a career entrepreneur hybrid type of situation that's going on because of the amount of money that you can make. You just talked about the exponential growth. And family, I want you to pay attention to what he said. He mentioned the fact that the annual growth rate for raises in most other industries is 2%, whereas inflation is 4% annually, meaning that inflation is going to outpace the raises of your job each and every year. So no matter how hard you work, no matter what the promotion is that you get, the raise is still not going to be able to outpace the inflation, which means you always going to be in need for more money. And this is what I have been saying to the people, Cyrus. Because a lot of people now, especially with inflation going up now, with the rise in interest rates and gas and food and all of this kind of stuff, mortgage, rent, right? People are saying, hey, we don't make enough money. And I'm saying, get a skill. And get into an in-demand industry like tech that will allow you to now bring the money in that's necessary for you to not only survive, but thrive. Because there's a lot of people out here that's just surviving. They're not thriving.
Yeah, those are facts. I do want to backtrack on something I said because I don't want to embellish it all. That the $67,000 raise that I got, that is higher than normal. So again, the numbers I gave earlier, if you jump companies, you're looking more at like between $25,000 to $40,000 a year, or $45,000 type of like bump. And $67,000, that is higher than normal. So I do want to be clear about that. I don't want to say that and people like think that I'm saying, oh, that's a normal type of thing.
Right.
But still incredibly. But yeah, to your point with what you just said, like, and I'm not a person, I'm not trying to flex or anything like that, but just really trying to give perspective is that when you work remote, and half the jobs in tech, you are working remote.
90% of them are remote jobs.
Oh wow, that's even more than what I thought. So I didn't look at that statistic. So you're probably more right on that than I am. And so yeah, so many of them are remote. The majority are remote. That plus my income being so much higher than it's ever been in my life, I don't even notice gas prices when everybody's talking about gas. Because when you work remote, you're only driving, but how much? Like you're always at
Right.
home in terms of working at home.
Yep.
So it's like
To
you're
the
only
gym,
driving.
maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I moved. So where I stay at, the gym is across the street. I literally walk, I take the elevator down and I walk across the street, go up to the gym, and then I come back home. And so,
Winning.
but yeah, when that was the case before this summer, and I was driving to the gym, that was my only time really driving. So
Mm-hmm.
gas, like, people talk about gas prices, and it's like I don't even really notice or really care. I fill up my gas tank maybe once every other week or once every 3 weeks. I'm at the gas station so rare. It feels like a weird nostalgic thing when I'm at the gas station. I'm like, man, I haven't been here in a while. And then yeah, we talk about the prices of all these different things raising, but it's like, man, when your income is jumping so much higher, it's like the prices and the cost of things becomes very minuscule. And so, and yeah, when I was Lyft driving, one of the things I saw with different people that were getting in my car were, it was either people pre-pandemic, it was either the Indian community, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't mean the Native American, I mean the actual Indian community
Right.
that I'd
East
be picking up
Indians.
from the
Mm-hmm.
thank you, East Indians, and many of them were coming here for tech events and tech conferences. And I was like, man, they're coming here getting to the money. And when I would be driving in Buckhead, Atlanta, late at night, picking up like young white boys, and
Right.
many of them were in these nice lofts, nice condos, and I'm thinking, oh, this is daddy's money, this is mommy's money, and they're like, no, dude, I'm actually in tech. And after talking to all of these people, they were good people, but many of them I could tell, I'm like, man, they're not uniquely smart. They're not uniquely sharp. And it's
Right.
like,
Right.
man, we are missing out. And obviously, many of us, yeah, we believe in entrepreneurship. We believe in investing, real estate, all those different things. But it's like, man, the luxury that they have with being aware of this industry is that when you have a six-figure foundation, when you have a six-figure career, whether you start off in tech at $80,000 or you start off at $115,000, either way, you're going to quickly be making over $100,000, and it's only going to scale really quickly.
That's a fact.
When you're making $150,000, $200,000, you have more than enough money to invest, more than enough money to save, more than enough money to build a business, it not be raggedy, because now you have the resources to pour into it. So you're getting and doing things that are quality. And worst case scenario, if you make a couple bad investments, or worst case scenario, if your business doesn't like pop off and flourish, you still have a multiple six-figure career working from home. It's really amazing. It's almost like a hack in a way.
I was getting ready to say, now talk about the literal setup that allows you to put into place, because if you do it right, you can literally set yourself up for success year in and year out. Because as you mentioned, and this is one of the things that I learned, number one is, and I got this from your podcast, so and we're going to talk about the podcast too, because, what I want y'all to know, family, as y'all come in, I need y'all to share the link. I need y'all to like. I need you to share, and I need you to subscribe and hit the bell, stay notified each and every time we drop a video or a podcast. Man, we are talking to my good brother Cyrus, who is the founder of Tech is the New Black podcast, entrepreneur and tech sales engineer. And what I noticed, because I've also did a lot of social media marketing and branding consultant, right? I actually took a course and learned a skill to do that. That's how I've been able to build up my platforms online. And in the process of that, I would talk to and coach and consult a lot of small business owners and new entrepreneurs. And one of the things that I found out, Cyrus, is that most of us don't have the money to actually fund the business, let alone have the money to put on a marketing budget that you would need in order to grow your business just on the marketing side, just to keep the funnel full with leads, right? We don't have that money.
Yep.
So as I get into tech, I'm saying, wow, with all of the high paying salaries that you're able to get inside tech, with being able to work remotely for majority of the jobs, and the fact that you have a high paying salary on W-2, what I learned from your podcast is that if you go out to look for a loan at the bank, they actually regard that in very high regards, because it's on W-2, it's guaranteed income. So you can literally go into the bank, and if need be, you are able to get a loan for your business because of the guaranteed high paying salary that you have working in tech, and you still able to operate as an entrepreneur. So these are just some of the hacks that are available to you as you get into this industry. And another point that you made was about all of the other communities who are heavy in this, whether it's the East Indian, whether it's the Asian, whether it's the Caucasian, who are getting into these different areas, because that's who's out there in Silicon Valley. Right, you see your Mark Zuckerbergs and all of those different ones who create apps and social media platforms and things, and they are millionaires and billionaires and stuff like that. This is all the tech industry. So I want us to really be taking notes and really taking in this game, because Cyrus has literally been able to transform his life by getting into tech. And it's most people who don't make $100,000 in a lifetime. And now you have an industry where people are making $100,000 year in and year out and only scaling. So now let's talk about, as you got into tech and it transformed your life, now you start giving your experiences online and you talking to different people via your Instagram, going live, Q&A. Where does the idea for the podcast come from?
Yeah, definitely a good question. So for the podcast, kind of going back to what I was saying at the beginning, my heart is always in some way, shape, or form ministry. It's helping people, whether before it was helping people get closer to God, which is something I still care deeply about, or better relationships. It's like, once I got in this industry, I waited about 3 months, because at first I was like, no, there's no way it's this good. I was like, no, this has to be some type of trick. And then when I realized, oh no, this is, and it wasn't just my company. I was like, this is this industry. And I was like, there is no way people are not talking about this. I mean, there's no way even the people who look like us are in this industry making all this money and not blasting it and sharing it. I'm like,
bro,
this is crazy.
We got to talk about that, because I ran into that and I'm like, yo, why aren't nobody sounding the alarms about this right now? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's almost like they working deep undercover or something.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really strange. It's incredibly strange to see it. But yeah, so I was just like, I was like, I need to completely revamp my platform and talk about this. And it was weird. At first, I thought no one was gonna care. But I was in my head, I said, man, I don't care if I only help one or two people a month. This needs to be talked about.
Right.
But once I began talking about it, it was the opposite of what I thought. People cared. People like went hard at it. Like, no, tell us more. Because obviously, as we know, people are not in a bad place. People are not like most people are not in the best place financially right now.
Right.
And so it made sense. At first, the first like few months, there were a few people that were like, I don't really know what's going on.
Yeah.
And then, but as time went by, is I started bringing other people, and I started it off on IG Live, because one of the things I learned from tech companies, I read a book called The Lean Startup Model. Mm-hmm. Most tech companies go by this, where they start off with what's called an MVP. It stands for minimum viable product, where it means that they don't try to do everything, or even if they have a bunch of money, they don't try to do all of it. They start at the bare minimum thing that they know people will like, and then they gradually add. Think Jeff Bezos in books, and then as he incrementally added other things to Amazon. Okay. Think Instagram, when all it was just pictures. You just post. Yeah. So people think, oh, Instagram has changed. They changed. Every tech app, every platform is going to change, because they're starting off with their minimum viable product, and they're going to gradually, incrementally add more. So I was like, okay, I want to help people, put people on. I knew I eventually wanted to do a podcast, but I wanted to wait until the demand grows.
The demand was there. Mm-hmm.
Just on IG Live, and it started off strong, but it just grew and grew and grew. And once I saw the demand was there, I also said, okay, I'm going to wait at least until I'm at my second tech company, so I have a significant income. Because again, I was making $90,000, which is good money. That was enough to start a podcast. Mm-hmm. But I was like, no, let me wait until I get a significant bump. So once I got that, bump up to 157K, I was like, all right, time to go ahead and take a good chunk of this money and be able to dump it into the podcast. So many people, the podcast just started about 3 months ago, We have a lot of content, but people are like, man, how is it so quality? How is this? How is that? Because I have a team that I pay, and I pay them a lot. So, but I'm able to pay them a lot because, praise God, I'm in a
Right.
phenomenal industry. I have more than enough money. So I have a top-notch videographer that I pay well. He was able to name his price. I have a production manager, production assistant that are all behind the scenes handling stuff.
Wow.
Actually, tomorrow I'm hiring 2 virtual assistants to kind of handle more things behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes,
and
yeah.
so even the event, we had our first in person.
I'm mad I missed that. I'm gonna be at the next one though.
Definitely, bro. And I'm gonna make sure you get a honorary slot so you can come up there.
Yes,
but
sir.
Even when we had that event, people don't realize, like, we lost money on the event, and not lost money because, like, we sold out of tickets.
Mm-hmm.
Everything happened the way that we planned on it happened. We actually sold out and ran out of capacity. So the next event, the next space, we're going to be in a much larger space.
Bigger space, yeah.
But we sold out. I knew that we were gonna lose money on it, and I was totally fine with that because I was like, we don't need to make money right now.
Right.
I was like, at the end of the day, we're here to help people. We have more than enough money, more than enough resources, us working in tech, that we're able to, like, instead pour our money into this to make it such a quality event. We had an open bar. We had like a top tier chef. It was so many amenities at the event, and we were able to do that because, again, going back to what you said, like, most people do it the opposite. Most people, and unfortunately most people who look like us that are unaware and don't have resources, right, they start a business to take money from the business to help them pay their bills or help them do stuff. No, the game has to be the other way around. When you have a solid career like this, again, not job, but career, when you're in a solid career like this, you have more than enough money and income to where now when you start a business, maybe you don't even need to get a loan right away. Maybe you don't even need to do this or that right away. You have more than enough money. You can be your own angel investor. You can pour, not only can you continue to live your life, continue to save, invest, all of that, but you also have money set aside that you can invest into your own business. And now now that the podcast and stuff is now, it's at a point now where I don't have to invest any money into it anymore. It's now on its roll. So instead of me eating from it and slowing its own growth, instead I was pouring into it to expedite the growth. And now it's at a place where it has its own legs. And now I can reallocate my funds to other things I need to reallocate them to. I'm looking to start doing real estate investing next year. And now the podcast is just able to do its thing. So that's really the right way to go. But of course, again, it goes back to having that solid foundational W-2 income in this tech industry.
Family, I don't know if you got your notepad or your iPad or any pad available that you're able to be writing this stuff down, but we always talking about business on the show. We always talking about entrepreneurship, ownership. You know what I'm saying? All of those things are key factors, but if you're not able to generate money, if you're not able to bring in and generate revenue, then you're going to have an issue. And this is why it's so important that we having these conversations. And for brothers like Brother Cyrus, who has taken his experience and decided to share it with the world, is so instrumental because I have now started sharing it on my podcast, interconnected tech into my platform. Like you mentioned earlier, had to revamp the platform a little bit and had to throw this in there so that we can start having these conversations. And I've been able to help several people to start their career in tech. And it's a beautiful segue because, as I mentioned earlier, my brother Alfonso was going to be coming on to also host as well. So he's actually in the green where I'm going to bring him on. And he actually just finished his tech boot camp that he was able to learn either through myself, and I think I told him about you as well. So he actually is graduating this week, and he's already started his interview process. Had an interview, I believe, yesterday, and is going through making sure that he's making as many connections on LinkedIn and things like that. And then, he'll be on his way. So, helping as many people as possible in the tech industry is definitely the mission for myself, and I know from watching Cyrus content that's his mission as well. What's going on, brother?
Peace, family. Peace. How's everybody doing this lovely evening?
Man, we doing good. We are doing good. Man, just chopping it up with my good brother Cyrus, man. And we were just segueing off of the fact, how tech is so life transforming. And Cyrus is just talking about, how the idea of the podcast came into fruition and how he was able to have the resources to pour into the podcast. And those are one of the things that we were talking about, which is not plentiful in our community and why these opportunities are so important. So if you have any questions, feel free to jump in. But now, Cyrus, we have tech is the new black. I'm seeing it everywhere, bro. Like, talk about how important LinkedIn is, because I'm gonna tell you, before I got into tech, I wasn't huge on LinkedIn like that. Like, I wasn't big on LinkedIn and all of that kind of stuff. But being in tech and making these professional connections is a whole different social media platform experience. So talk a little bit about about LinkedIn and the growth of the podcast and things like that.
Yeah, definitely.
Real
So
quick, real quick, Cam and brother Cyrus, real quick. I don't mean to cut you off because I wanted to say this to brother Cyrus, brother. You and brother King Cam has been a major influence on me, because brother King Cam is the person who initially mentioned tech sales to me, but I actually ran into one of your YouTube videos. I think he was being interviewed by brother O'Neill, and that video was the deciding factor of me getting into tech. And I said I wanted to be a sales engineer. I had the opportunity to do course careers, but I said I wanted to be a sales engineer. So I signed up with careers. I actually graduate tomorrow, all because of you two brothers. I graduate tomorrow, but when I started the class, Cyrus, brother, I can have many people bear witness that almost everybody that was in that class was in the class because of you. So I wanted to say that to you, brother. If you didn't know that, but you have a lot of influence out here, and I just wanted to just end on that note.
that's good to know. I'm happy to the seed that brother King Cam planted, that I was able to water that seed. And so definitely thank you for sharing that.
Yes,
Definitely.
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely. So yeah, bro. So the podcast and the LinkedIn, right? How important is the LinkedIn to the growth of the podcast and things like that?
Yeah, definitely. So in terms of, so LinkedIn has helped. So first and foremost, LinkedIn is extremely vital to your growth in the tech space. I mean, not just your growth, but also like you getting a job in the tech space.
Right.
Because LinkedIn is for jobs, for business, for entrepreneurship, all of that in general. But its real bread and butter is the tech space. The tech industry lives
Mm,
and dies socially on LinkedIn, not on Instagram. Like, you go to any tech event, people aren't going to ask for your Instagram. They're not going to ask for your Twitter. They're not going to ask for any other thing. They're going to say, "What's your LinkedIn?" to connect with you. No one even mentions those other platforms.
wow.
Half the people that are leaders in tech aren't even on other social media platforms, and so
Mm,
LinkedIn is where they're at heavily, but not just to set yourself up with networking to get a job, but also to set yourself up to scale quickly in the industry. So I mentioned earlier how, man, I constantly get messages from companies, especially the more I post on LinkedIn, the day in
yeah.
the life of a sales engineer, or the day in the life of being in tech, whether I'm making, like, some type of comedy or relatable content,
Right.
or something that's educational. Every time I do that, and I utilize like the hashtags and certain verbiage on there, my inbox on LinkedIn gets blown up with different tech recruiters trying to bring me onto their company, trying to take me from my current company. They do not care if you had a company. They're like, how much money do you want? What do you want for us to take you from your company? They really don't. They really don't care. Even when I changed companies, I was at a company for 2 weeks, and recruiters were like, "Hey, look, we know you just started at a role at another company. We would love to bring you over to our company." So LinkedIn is vital for that. Um, a couple of things I want to say, and I'm not going to go fully in depth for the sake of time, but a couple of things I want to say is that LinkedIn is vital for you posting content because tech recruiters have a system it's called LinkedIn Recruiter. So they see
Mm.
a different version of LinkedIn where they actually search for candidates through LinkedIn, but the way they search is they use hashtags, they type in certain words to find you. So
Okay.
if you're a black, if you're a person of color, if you're a black person, if you're a black woman, mention those things in your hashtags, mention those things in your post that you put up, mention it in your bio, in your about me. Like layer it in a way that makes sense. Don't just put it in there. But the
Right.
reason why you want to do that is because the more you layer that stuff in your LinkedIn, you rank higher for recruiters that are trying to find, that are typing in,
Mm.
okay, to hire more people of color. We need, because investors want to see that.
Yes.
There's a lot of incentives for them to hire people of color right now.
Yes, sir.
Mm.
So shy away from being a person of color in tech. You want to lean into it. And so with that, the more you have that information layered, the more you're posting content and you're using hashtags, POC in tech, black women in tech, black men in tech, Afro tech, whatever variations you want to come up with, it allows recruiters to find you faster and more consistently. And so that's why just posting on LinkedIn, having certain relatable content, the more I post that stuff, the more my inbox is getting blown up. And that's just from being on the platform. So LinkedIn is vital, not just for getting in the industry, but for quickly scaling. And this is random. You didn't ask me this, but like the company that I'm at, they're paying me right now 175,000. I've gotten like plenty of offers for well over $200,000. I
Wow.
just I don't have the bandwidth right now to to transition to another company, learn their culture, and honestly, once you make a certain amount of money, your time becomes more valuable
Right.
than the especially when you're doing something outside of your job, like what I'm doing with Tech as a New Black. And so
Absolutely.
the reason I mentioned that 200,000+ offers that I've been getting is just to give an example of like, man, literally, and that's just from these recruiters and hiring managers don't know my work ethic. They all can see from my LinkedIn. I've only been in the industry now for December 4th made 14 months. So they know
Mm.
I'm still relative to the industry.
Right.
And nevertheless, they're still giving these amazing offers. So LinkedIn has been vital in growing my career. I would say even more than like me working at the jobs. It's really been LinkedIn and me working at the jobs has helped grow my career via networking on the platform and posting content. So that's
Absolutely.
that. When it comes to Tech is the New Black, the purpose of why I started it
Okay.
was because I was aware that yo, these boot camps are doing a phenomenal job helping people get into the industry. But I had been learning enough that I wanted to have a platform, a free resource that didn't cost anyone anything, where it's like, hey, people are learning more about this industry, but not just for me, because I know a lot about this industry. But as I just said, I've been in this industry for 14 months. I've done my due diligence to learn as much as I can. But the podcast, I invite people on who are much more knowledgeable than me, who are half the time making more money than I'm making, because
Right.
people think it's ridiculous the amount of money I make. And I'm like, this is nothing for this industry. This is a joke for this industry, the amount of money I make. It's like there are people making, I have a couple friends now who are millionaires
I was getting
from
ready to
working
say.
in.
I was getting ready to say. No, Troy said that last week. He said he know millionaires in tech sales. They making millions a
Yes,
year in tech sales.
that's a real thing. And so, and then even, and of course, those are like rock stars that are like they probably make it their bread and butter. But even if you're a person, you're hardworking, you're competent, you're networking to be at a great company, and you are just really diligent, getting to $500,000 is not crazy. I had the only tech salesperson I've interviewed so far on my podcast. She's only been in tech for 2.5 years. She already makes two hundred
Two
twenty-five
hundred
thousand
twenty
dollars.
thousand. Yep. I
Yeah,
saw that
yeah.
episode.
And her goal is to be at $500,000 next year, and that's not crazy at all for this industry. So it's just incredible. So the purpose of the podcast is to be an additional complimentary resource, not just for people. When we say this, We help people, we give information to help people break in tech, scale in tech, and even if you want, start your own tech business. And so that's the purpose of the podcast, is just to give amazing information, amazing.
Oh no, what happened? Uh-oh. Oh man, we got disconnected, family. Hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Oh, I don't know what happened there.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Well,
we
yeah,
back.
but that's the purpose of the podcast, just to really give amazing resources and information to help people scale. Because a lot of people are just getting the jobs and being cool, and it's like, well, no, man, like we want to give resources to help you really scale and see what all you can do in this industry. Because this industry is huge, huge, in terms of, and not even just the jobs. Because we talk about LinkedIn and we talk about, yeah, there's a lot of money in the jobs, but maybe you're the type of person like yourself, and we'll talk offline.
Yes,
There are
sir.
things that you can do when you have a platform in this industry where you can have tech companies, you're like other tech companies, pay you money like $10,000, $15,000 just to do a review or just to make some content shouting them out. I have plenty of friends who I've shown them, like, man, these tech companies will pay you. And again, this goes back to networking on LinkedIn.
Right.
There are things you can do in this industry to scale and make significant money, and it's almost like it's almost limitless in terms of what you can do. But the most important thing first is breaking into this industry, absorbing some knowledge, and networking while you're in it, and then from there seeing what other routes you want to go.
Absolutely. Man, shout out to Denver, Colorado in the building. Shout out to DC in the building. Shout out to LA, who's checking in with the podcast family. And of course, the ATL with me and brother Cyrus are at for sure tapping in. So man, that's so much. That information is so valuable. And again, I'm able to, pretty much bear witness to everything that you're saying, because I'm seeing it in real time, and only just being in it for 2 months, because I got on in my company in October, right? So it's a lot of stuff for me to be able to expect coming down the line. But one of the things that I definitely know about is the LinkedIn, especially because I have a knowledge and background on social media marketing and branding. That also help understanding hashtags and everything that you just mentioned, and it's just blowing up, blowing up. So my inbox is full of people from course careers and other people who reaching out who want to get in, and now people from my Instagram hitting me in the DM like, "Yo, I done heard about tech. How do I get into tech?" So, man, it's really again a game changer. Your platform and the information that you putting out just off the Instagram, and down the ad tech is the new black to the mix, and inviting those different individuals, because I've watched several different episodes that you have, the tech sales one, the brother that makes over 800,000
I
in
heard you
the
say something earlier, and I was like, oh, he watched the Chris G interview.
yeah, that was it. That was it. That was it. Because he really talked about utilizing tech as a vehicle for entrepreneurship. And there was another thing that he mentioned in the podcast too, that I want you to touch on before we get ready to get up out of here, about your ability to tech stack.
Yes.
Essentially being able to work multiple jobs within tech and stack that income. Just talk a little bit about that, because that's another hack.
Yeah, no, that's a huge hack, to make a lot of income quickly. So yeah, if you're the type of person, I mean, there's a couple different things you could do. So excuse me, first off, most roles where you can do is called tech stacking or job stacking. You Most of them are what are called roles where you do sprints, where basically you're given a number of assignments and you're given a deadline for those assignments. More often than not, the tech industry, generally speaking, this doesn't represent every company, but most tech companies, just the culture of this industry is pretty lax. Like, so
Nah,
you're,
for real though.
it's not an industry where, first off, you're not being micromanaged.
Nope.
And second off, the workload is not something where you're like, oh man, how am I going to get this done? How is this possible? It's very like reasonable, the work that workload that you get. With some companies, it's not just reasonable. It's like, this is all I'm doing, and y'all are paying me this. And
Right.
so that said, people who, especially people who are doing sprints, where basically you have an assignment based job and you're given a deadline, maybe a deadline of a month or 2 or 3 months. Many people are either one, they are doing what's called overemployment, where they're actually secretly working at 3 different companies at the same time, 4 different companies at the same time
Mm-hmm.
themselves. And of course, you do the math. Let's say one company's paying you 120,000, another one's paying you 90,000, another one's paying 170,000. You could just off of that make it to close to $500,000 a year early on. But then there are
For
other
real.
people that are doing something where they are offloading some of their jobs and duties and tasks to other people. So and I'm not speaking for Chris G, but I know different people who do this. So literally, the friend that one of the friends that I had, the close friends that I had, where when I saw how much, when I realized how much money he had, I was like, oh no, I'm done playing around. I have to get in this industry. I
Facts.
had I never saw him work, and he and I we were hanging out all the time. He was a good friend of mine. He started dating a close homegirl of mine, so he and I were talking every day.
Uh-huh.
We were doing like different like community events and stuff together. While I was
Mm-hmm.
broke, he had all the money, and I was like, man, this guy has so much money, but he's never working. I was like, this dude is never working, but he has all of this money. Every time I call him, he's available. If we need to get together, he's available.
Right.
And then he taking my homegirl on dates. They were going on 2 to 3 dates a day, 5 days a week, 6 days a week, like literally getting brunch together, doing this. And I was
Right.
like, this man is working, has all this money. So I
Right.
asked him, like, oh, what are you doing? And then that's when I found out. He was like, well, yeah, um, I'll say this on here. I could never say this on my podcast with him on the podcast, but
Right.
I actually interviewed him recently at our event. The episode's gonna drop in a few weeks.
Okay.
But I can say this publicly and have him on the show because companies, it's a
Yeah.
conflict of interest if companies know this. But companies give him jobs. They'll say, hey, we need you to do this thing in they'll give him like a 3 month or 4 month deadline. But the companies will pay him $100,000, $120,000 to do this task. What he will
Wow.
do,
Wow.
so he'll have multiple companies that'll give him these offers because he's, as a young black man, he's a top level like engineer. Like
Yeah.
he's carved his name in this industry and is put his work in.
Mm-hmm.
So because of that, he sits back. Companies reach out to him, even companies he doesn't work for will reach out to him with contracts and say, hey, we want to contract you to build out this thing for us. You know, in 3 to 4 months, 5 months, whatever, we're going to give you X amount of $100,000 to do it. This is what he does. He
Oh, so
will
he's doing
accept
contractor work.
with some companies. He works
Okay.
at some companies already. With other companies, they'll just reach out to him. They don't know that he's working at a company because he's so high up. He doesn't even put the company he's working for on LinkedIn. So on LinkedIn, it looks like he's available to work. So he will take on these jobs, and then he will offload the jobs to either people in third world countries, and he'll
Outsourcing.
look over, like once a week, he'll look over their work to make sure they're doing stuff properly. He'll make adjustments if they're making a mistake or they're doing something wrong. He'll
Absolutely.
offload it to people in third world countries, or he gets a lot of young black juniors that are in this industry, people that are new to this industry, and they're trying to build up their portfolio or their resume. And let's say he'll get a job for $150,000. He'll hire 2 people to do the job, pay each of them 50,000, and he'll pocket 50,000 without having to work. All he has to do is like do proofreading or proof checking on their work, and he'll
Wow.
do that with 4 or 5 different companies. So in 3 or 4 months, this was the case for him some years ago when I met him about
Mhm.
2 to 3 years ago. This is the case for him. And so he was making about $250,000 to $300,000 like every 3 to 4 months, not doing much work at all. Now he makes, and he told me this when we were talking recently. Now he's making somewhere between $500,000 to $700,000 a month.
Wow. There you go. The income is like limitless, family. It's literally limitless for you to be able to get into this industry and be able to make your mark in this industry, man. We was able to talk about ways to be able to network, different ways for you able to grow and scale. One of the beautiful things about tech sales and sales engineers that you don't have to have a degree or experience to get into the game. I know from my personal experience, I did have like some retail sales stuff in my background, but nothing like tech sales sales or any type of technical background or anything like that. And again, I came in at 85,000 and in tech sales, right, in my first 2 months, right? So shout out to me. So shout out to me for that. And then I'm doing, and everything that I'm doing is I'm looking to grow, I'm looking to network, and I'm looking to connect with as many people as possible. Good, powerful brothers like my brother Cyrus. We're going to definitely talk offline because I definitely got to get with you. Always about getting with like-minded individuals and pooling our resources and seeing how we could grow and scale. And most importantly is impact the people and help the rest of the people, build something for themselves as well, because it's beautiful for us to be blessed. It's beautiful for God to help us and for us to be able to change our lives, but it's really not doing anything until we able to now impact more people and impact more people with the same thing that God blessed us with. So that's the beauty in it. Could you let the people know, Cyrus, what you have coming up, how they can find you, and some of the things you have coming down the pipeline?
Yeah, definitely appreciate that, man. So y'all can find me on my personal Instagram. It's I'm just Cyrus, not I am just Cyrus. I'm just Cyrus. Avoid the fake pages and bot pages and all of that.
Yes, it's real out here.
Check out Tech is the New Black, whether on Spotify or on YouTube. Weekly, we drop episodes where we interview different leaders in tech, different industries doing different things that are doing phenomenal stuff. So check out Tech is the New Black for all of the resources that you'll be looking for. In terms of what's coming up next with us, after the turn of the year, we're going to be interviewing not just people that are leaders in tech and tech recruiters. We're also going to be interviewing founders of tech companies. We're going to be interviewing different founders of various tech boot camps. The majority of them being people of color. We're going to be interviewing people that are founders of tech events, so that way you can know where to go in terms of networking and stuff like that. Or if you're a person where you love doing events, once you get in tech, that'll kind of help you understand how to start tech events and how to network to start doing that as well, so you can start helping more people also. So those are some of the things we're going to be doing, as well as launching a community where we're going to weekly be releasing tech news and reacting to tech news. Because it's one thing to work in this industry and make money, but when you understand what's happening behind the scenes with these tech companies, not just the theoretical stuff that the news is sharing, but what's actually happening in this industry. One, it can kind of let you know where to invest some of your money. And two, it can let you know, hey, what's happening, so you can know what certain companies are doing. So if you need to pull your investments away, or if you want to kind of like give pushback towards certain things. So again, it's important to know these things, but those are some of the things we're working on. And other than that, man, just hopefully getting to chat with other brothers like yourself, just about like what it is we're doing to help others get in this industry.
Yes, sir. And you mentioned some very key points, and I know for myself, one of the things that I enjoy the most, outside of just the overall education about the tech industry, right? But again, the news and understanding what's really going on in the industry, because now, in tech is an industry that is interconnected with all other industries. So you have the tech industry, but it's connected to the medical industry. You have the tech industry, but it's connected to law enforcement. It's connected to government. It's connected to hospitality, right? It's connected to every industry has to go through tech because of the software that's used for all these other businesses. So it helps you get an inside knowledge of, as Brother Cyrus mentioned, things that are going on in the background, what's coming on down the pipe, what are some different things that are affecting small businesses and medium-sized businesses. Because one of the things that I learned at my job, we have two sides of the house. One is software as a service for workflow integration, but also we do cybersecurity. So on the cybersecurity side of the house, we are doing a lot of stuff with ransomware and things like that. And you look at how ransomware is affecting a lot of SMBs, and it is like hitting them crazy. And a lot of people don't even think about this level of, you know, protection that you have to have over your small business, small and medium sized business. So it really, as an entrepreneur, it helps you gain a lot of knowledge and a lot of things that you'll be able to take from that and put it into your own business. If that's something that you look to do, if you're looking to start another business in another field, or either start a tech company, because that's something as well. And it's just so much that you can learn and extract from this industry that, you know, if you're not in it and you looking for something different, then you need to come on this way. You need to come on this way and go ahead and tap in. You know, I certainly appreciate Brother Cyrus for taking the time out, as I mentioned earlier, family. And I want to give my brother a round of applause for coming on and sharing this information. Yes, sister, a month. Yeah, brother is making a lot of money a month. Go back and watch the replay, sis, because we covered a whole lot on how much money you can make in the industry, you know, how to get in. As I mentioned earlier, no degree, no experience to get your foot in the door. Once you get in your foot in the door, it's nothing but up from there if you just follow a couple of simple steps. And then you need to tap into not only this podcast, but to my brother's podcast, Tech is the New Black, specifically interviewing top influencers and top individuals in tech. And coming new next year, they're going to also be having on the platform tech founders of companies and things like that, that'll be able to give even more knowledge, even more education and game on the tech industry. So we certainly appreciate it. And again, brother, we certainly appreciate your time. And man, we're going to go ahead and close it down, family. So I appreciate everybody for tuning in, everybody that shared a link, that tweeted out a link, that subscribed to the channel, everybody that hit the bell to stay notified. We appreciate you. Again, everybody that was tuned in from all across the country. It's always a blessing to have y'all in the building and rocking with what we doing, just trying to give as much impact to the people as possible. And one of the things that my good brother Ben says, that is impact over income. Passive impact brings income. So if you are working in your mission and you working in your purpose that God gave you, which is to impact the people and uplift the people in whatever gift that God gave you, then the income will come and you'll start to see a better life for yourself, family. So that's all I have. And Brother Cyrus, we definitely going to talk offline. Matter of fact, stay on if you got a few minutes, and we'll chop it up a little bit. And then, yeah, family. And, man, we look forward to seeing y'all next time. Peace and blessings.
Any leadership that teaches you to depend upon another race is a leadership that will enslave you. Any leadership that teaches you to depend upon another race is a leadership that will enslave you. They gave leadership to our foreparents, and that leadership made them slaves. But we have decided to find a leadership of our own.
Not your average nigga, I'm a god out the hood. They can't downplay me, I came up, I'm elevated. I ain't gotta say too much for them to know I'm coming for what's mine. You know they see me in my presence, say they see how I'm coming. Young, but you not just gonna finesse me like you did my peoples. Then back when you said they was emancipated. This ain't that. Your head too big, you feeling yourself. The game wasn't fair, you had the advantage, we wasn't educated. I don't look at you people the same. Nah. Your worst nightmare, my skin tone about them chains. Yeah. Not no circus lion, son, I can't be tamed. You gon' have to kill me, pussy, Toby ain't my name. Y'all still want us think our history started when we were slaves? What? Come on now, talk about them pyramids we made.